So my friends got me a bunch of craft materials for my birthday last year, and one of the main things they gave me was felt cloth. When I first got it, I wasn't sure what I could do with it, but soon enough, I felt it. For my first project, I decided to make a very simple felt flower piece to put on my shelf. I started off by preparing the base of my canvas, using a regular bowl to trace out the shape. I didn't cut out a perfect circle and left a straight line at the bottom so that it can line up nicely with the shelf. Next, I'll be cutting out the flower details. Here's a set-looking sketch of the kind of flowers I wanted. Basically, I was inspired by tropical flowers because their shapes are so unique and their colours are very vibrant. And I guess it's close to home because it's basically found around all of Singapore. So I picked out the colours I wanted to use and started cutting out each petal and detail with a pair of scissors. My first flower is the heliconia, also known as the lobster claw. FYI, I did not pick this flower because it looks like food, though that's not a bad thing, but because of the fascinating way its petals hang out. There's also one that looks like it's got bananas sticking out, and it's so cute. The next piece is the anthurium. I like it because it has this weird waxy surface, and it's shaped like a heart, so what's not to love? Now on to the birds of paradise. I don't really see this flower much in Singapore, but it's on the list because, bingo, my favourite gelato shop in Singapore is Birds of Paradise. Okay, I'm starting to think that maybe there's a correlation between my love of food and liking these flowers, I don't know. And the next one is another food-related item, the red ginger flower. I remember coming across these at botanic gardens and was intrigued at how the food that makes you so gassy could produce such gorgeous flowers. Lastly, I cut out some generic tropical looking flowers, leaves and stalks for fillers, and here are the final cutouts. I roughly arranged them in the order I wanted, and once satisfied, I started to glue them down with a Yoo-hoo glue. I then pasted the whole thing on a cardboard backing, and there we have it, the finished product. For my next project, I wanted to go a little bigger scale, and by that I mean like wall decor in my living room above the couch. My walls currently are plain beige with no patterns or cool tiles, so I wanted something that's eye-catching because my living room area is one of the first things people will see when they enter the house. I planned to make something a little abstract, but with meaning as well. So I thought of something that represents Gerald and I since it's our together home, and came up with a piece of our firsts. Each shape and sometimes colour is a nod to some of our first memories and experiences together in our whole relationship. I won't share any further details here so that everyone can play the guessing game, but I really enjoyed making this because it's not just random shapes, but something that is held dear to us. And here's the final result. I left it frameless so that the whole wall is our canvas, and we can continue to build on this piece each time a new first happens. My last project is something that was created just because I didn't like the look of my glass vase. We snagged it up from Daiso when we were hunting for wedding decor. It is more rustic and countryside looking, which didn't really fit the vibe of the living room. So I decided to convert it to something a little more modern looking, and these are the materials I'll be using for the transformation. First off, I didn't want the hourglass shape for the vase. I preferred a more cylindrical shape, so I filled the concaved part with some scrap-like cloth that I had to add more volume. I guess you can use crushed paper too, but I decided to use cloth instead so that it can last longer. Organza cloth is pretty good because it's light and poofy, so I don't need to use that much material. I then wrapped it with a tape for a smoother finish and to hold it in shape. I continued taping the whole glass as well to make the whole cylinder opaque. The felt material is porous and some light can still pass through it, so this step is to ensure that the vase looks completely opaque and not like it's halfway there. Once done, I proceeded to wrap the felt around the vase. I've lately been into the colour purple, so I decided with this colour for the base. To stick it down, I suggest using Yoo-hoo glue for better results. I was trying to use white craft glue at first, but it doesn't seem to hold stuff together well, so save yourself some trouble and just go straight to Yoo-hoo. The next thing to do is to make the patterns on the vase. I wanted to create lines that are something like contour lines on topographic maps. So to do that, I cut some rectangular strips of felt to wrap around a thin wire so that I can bend it into the shape I want. I also made some small cuts along some of the strips like this, so that it can fray when I roll it up. Once we have all these pattern pieces ready, I glued them onto the vase, and it turns out like this. These projects have changed my perception of felt. As I used to limit its usage possibilities to kids' crafts, I'd say this challenged me a little in thinking of how to fit them into home decor. I think some people might still think these decors look childish due to the colours and the tackiness and maybe even the material. But hey, to each their own.